Casual here. I keep hearing that the Clawbringer struggles with damage output. Well, with this build, that isn't a problem, and on top of that, you are tanky enough to solo Chaos Chambers with ease. Let's get into it. For this Gloombringer build, status effects and companions are major sources of damage, on top of the normal guns, melee, spells and abilities. Oath of Fire and Oath of Thunder add fire damage to my guns and lightning damage to my melee, as well as buffing them by 20% and 25% respectively. While Dragon Aura, the enchantment on my main weapon and my amulet all help to buff elemental damage even further. Putting hero points into Wisdom also buffs my status damage, making dots a very effective damage source. I'm applying further dots to my melee weapon, Tide Sorrow, Lament of the Seas, which you get from beating Celissa in Sunfang Oasis, and my spell which applies poison at the click of my fingers. With lightning being effective against wards, poison against armor, and fire against flesh, this is a very effective combo to run, particularly in boss fights. Speaking of enchantments, do make sure to put enchantments on all your weapons, ward and spells, as they will significantly buff your damage output. There are a lot of enchantments to work well with this build, buffing fire or lightning damage, ability damage, elemental damage, and overall damage dealt. The one thing to look out for though is that identical enchantments do not stack, so make sure you avoid overlaps. Blastomat's Favor, Firebolt, Storm Breath and Storm Smite add even more elemental damage to the build. Give up on being able to see what is going on though with all these effects popping off at once. The Gloombringer multi-classes with the Graveborn, which adds the Demi-Leech companion to your Wyvern, and also through a Dark Hydra up to 3 Hydras. This results in a very nice 45% buff to all your damage through Faithful Thralls, while Harvest adds bonus dark magic damage to all your companions, which I have stacking up to a maximum 30%. There is a great enchantment which I'm using on a backup weapon that can help keep your companions alive. Just swap to it, fire one bullet and reload for 40% health recovery. Speaking of health recovery, survivability comes through the life leech of dark magic, the efficiency of which is improved by Mortal Vessel, which also increases your maximum health by 15%. Radiance increases your max war capacity by 30%, as does my armor, while maxing out my hero points in Constitution buffs this even further. With the ward I'm currently using, I am running with nearly a 16,000 shield and 4,340 health, making me very tanky indeed. If I do take too much damage though, Indomitable and Dread Covenant are both great ways to prevent me going down at just the wrong moment. With this build, 2 action skills work best. Storm Dragon's Judgment is a great way to apply lightning at range, particularly to bosses, deal melee damage and deal damage over time. It can also be recalled, reducing its cooldown so that it is available when you need it. I have further reduced its cooldown by picking up Dedication and by putting hero points into Attunement. Its damage is also buffed through ability damage on my rings, albeit these are far from optimized for my build currently. Reaper of Bones is also a good option with this build if you want to chain kills together, as it has a high health pool to draw from and plenty of companions to deal dark magic for life leech. Do remember that you can swap between your action skills at any time within the game without the need to respec. One thing that you can't respec though is your backstory, something I get asked about a lot. For this build there are a few options that work. Village Idiot is a safe choice which doesn't buff the build much or detract from it. Rogue Alchemist and Failed Monk are interesting options with their status damage buffs, while Recovering Inventory Hoarder favours those who like to use their action skills as often as they can. In the end though, none of the options are perfect, and the only one I would absolutely avoid is Raised by the Elves, as the small increase to critical hit chance is just not big enough to justify the 10% hit to your health and ward. Getting through Chaos Chambers solo has been easy with this build, as it puts out excellent damage and has great survivability. Check out more build guides on the channel here. Until next time, casual out.